Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. All right, welcome back to another episode of Innovation Unplugged. I'm Houston Blackwood. I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. I'm Workforce Director for the Innovation Center. I am excited about this show today. Across from me is Matt Heaton, our Career Readiness Manager. And in the middle, in the hot seat today, is Joseph Metz, and he's the Skills for Success Coordinator at Coastal Alabama Community College. So welcome, guys. How are we?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Good.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So you drove like a couple hours, 2 hours?
No. It's 3 hours and 45 minutes from Mobile.
Not that anybody's counting, but we do appreciate you coming in for this 20-minute show.
12 minutes and we're out.
8 hours for... I've done that before a couple times.
Been there, done that.
Well, Joseph, it's great to have you here, man. I don't know. I forget what your role was before you were the Skills for Success Coordinator.
Alamap. I was over Alamap for Coastal, and fun times. Fun times.
Well, did you accomplish your goals?
Yes and no. I got brought in. So I was a recruiter when I got hired for the college. And then I got brought over to Workforce by Dean Duplantis. And then when that grant ended, I moved into the Skills for Success position. Yep. And it's there's one program specifically. Will either of you be at ACCA?
I'm going to be
week?
there.
Okay, so at 2:10 on Monday.
I'm busy that time, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, at 2:10 on Monday, Duplantis and I are doing a presentation about one of the programs that was an Alamap that is now continuing to go on post Alamap.
Yeah.
So you can sit in the back of the room and ask questions.
Well, I'm going to ask them hard questions. Yeah, I'm probably not because they, no, I'm not going to do that. But I'll be there.
If it was just me, then yeah. But Duplantis is
he's so serious.
I love him to death, dude. He's the best boss I've ever had. So
yeah. So when we have these meetings all the time with Duplantis. And like we have a working group, and one of y'all is always there. But right now we're talking about reimbursements and what happens when the colleges meet their MOU max and whatnot. But I'm always waiting for him to say whatever he's thinking because he's usually hears everybody's response and then kind of weighs in. It always influences the decision making process. But he is. It's been good to work with him, and y'all have a dynamic that's unique.
Yeah, no, we do.
We do. Probably the most unique, I would think, around the state because everybody's so. Who's that? The Joker. Like, why so serious?
Oh, Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
that guy.
Everybody around the system, and love them all. They're all beautiful. They're all beautiful, and they're all perfect, and they work really, really hard.
Beautiful,
but they are serious. You know, like
they are.
And most of the time we are serious, but man, like yeah.
The two of us are. Yeah, I call him Big Bro, Big Brother. Dr. J, and we do have a good dynamic. I mean, he lets me play and lets me go and do my thing. And if I have questions, I come to him and I ask him those questions and we work it out. But he's very much like, hey, you're flying, just keep flying.
Yeah, that's really how I get to operate too. And even so, like from the first day of this thing, and still now, like, just kind of go, and we hit a guardrail going 100 miles an hour. It's like, oh, well, we can't go that way.
Yeah.
We'll take a left.
Yeah.
Cool. So, hey, Joseph, give us a rundown who you are, where you came from, and how you got here.
So grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. Grandfather moved to this country after World War II, went through the camps, was in Auschwitz and Dachau concentration camps. Grew up loving history, went to Mississippi State. So T-Town is not, I'm not real comfortable here.
Roll Tide.
Shouldn't be.
And
unless you're from Oklahoma.
Yeah. From Oklahoma, you don't want to be anywhere near. But yeah, so went to Mississippi State, got a bachelor's and a master's in history, thought I was going to teach. COVID happened. That changed the educational landscape. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something else. I got into recruiting. Moved over to Mobile, started recruiting, apparently did well enough that the then president, Dr. Pouncey, pulled me into his office and said, hey, I have an opportunity that I think you should take to work with Dean Duplantis. And my dad taught me a long time ago that if somebody specifically your boss, pulls you in and says, "Hey, I've got an opportunity for you," you probably don't slap that in the face. And so went and talked to my wife. She was like, "Hey, try it." Met with Josh. I'd met Josh a couple of times before that, and really liked him. Was like, man, this guy's really cool. This guy knows his stuff. Doesn't hurt. He's an LSU fan.
Doesn't
and that doesn't hurt.
It doesn't.
It doesn't hurt. No, that was my second team growing up. My family's from South Louisiana, so they live in Gonzales, Pierre Park, Baton Rouge. So I grew up going to LSU stuff. So they were number 2. Plus, I'm a big baseball guy. So obviously, Mississippi State's good at baseball. LSU's great at baseball.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, Mississippi State. If you actually look at the top 10 records for attendance in college baseball, they're all held by Mississippi State. Go Dogs. Anyway,
'cause there's nothing else to do in Mississippi.
100%. There's nothing else to do. Eat corn, drink beer, and play baseball. That's kind of your 3
Watch
things
baseball.
you can do.
No, apparently, watch it.
But yeah, so met with Josh. He brought me on as the Alamap coordinator. I worked with Audrey Webb.
Yeah.
With Alamap, and then when that decided to end, didn't decide to end. Obviously, the grant ended.
Yeah.
He was like, "We got to keep Metz, so
Yeah,
let's do Skills for Success." And so that's been kind of what brought me here. And I love workforce because you actually get to see a change. You know, when you're a recruiter, you kind of feel like you're doing, something good. You're bringing people into college and giving them opportunities or helping them get opportunities. But like you actually see a change in workforce.
Yeah.
So this has been a really cool experience. The last almost 4 years now.
So as the recruiter, you kind of got them in the door, but
And that was it.
where you're at now, you see that sometimes the end goal for
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes, you get them in the door and then you hand them off.
Yep.
And you don't really know what happens to them afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas this, I mean, you're a recruiter, you're a counselor, you're, program manager, and then, if you can, you help them get a job, or you at least put them in contact with individuals who can help them get a job. So you're doing the entire process from this role versus, just the handing them off. No school's perfect. Mississippi State's not perfect. Coastal's not perfect. Alabama's not perfect in the sense of you get recruited, and then you're handed off, and then you're handed off, and then you're handed off, and eventually you're like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
Who's my advisor? I don't know, right? And with Skills for Success, we've been able to kind of turn it into I want to say one-stop shop, right? If a student has a problem, they come to me, and then I help them figure out, whether I send, Matt an email, or Destiny, or Darlisha, or Grant, or whoever, we can get it fixed. Versus, sometimes I'll have students in our credit side who are like, I don't know who to go to. And I'm like, okay, well, let's figure it out. Because my office is at Brookley Field at our aviation program. And so because I had programs that were aviation with Alamap, I still have a lot of those connections and those friendships with the business and industry, and also with all of the academic side, the credit side, because of being a recruiter. So I can kind of help them, if I'm not too busy with Skills for Success, navigate, okay, where do we go? who do I talk to? I've got a hold, etc.
Where's Brookley Field?
Brookley Field is off of 10. It's where the new airport's going to be. So it was an old military base.
Okay.
It was an Air Force base.
Gotcha.
And South used to have a campus there. And but that's where it is. It's where Airbus is.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you enjoy being that one-stop shop?
Most days, yes. There are some
sure.
days. There are some days where I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I basically establish this role of being there? But ultimately, I think all of us will agree. You get into education to help and to make it better.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's the reason that I continue to be that quote one-stop shop.
Well, you're doing a good job. Just a couple of days ago, we had a podcast release every Monday, and Ryan Ailes was on.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I did. Ryan's great. He, that's a funny story. Is an aviation student named Davis. Davis came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm interested in this fiber optics class. Davis still hasn't gone through fiber optics, by the way. And I've told him multiple times, I'm like, hey, we've got classes coming up. He's like, I'll get it when I can. But he came up to me and said, hey, I'm interested in fiber optics. I said, okay, cool. Got him the link, got him everything. And then he comes to me a couple days later and he's like, hey, there's this guy I work with that really wants to do this. Can I get him in? I was like, yeah, sure. Send him the information. Ryan ends up going through the program, and we start talking while he's in the program. He talks to Grant, he talks to Duplantis and everything. And we get done, and Duplantis and I like his story that, we tell him to apply for Unity. And then Josh, because Josh knows people at Unity, says, hey, there's this kid that's going to be applying. Y'all should, really look at him. And so kind of thing of, well, what are his credentials kind of thing. And, Josh is like, he just went through our fiber optics program at the college. And so, they interviewed him. They called him in for an interview. He interviewed. They, I guess, did like a skills assessment kind of thing, see what his basic knowledge was. And they gave him the opportunity, and he's been, kind of climbing that ladder since he got into Unity. And he, gives me a lot of credit for it. And I'm like, dude, no, like all I did is I run a class that you went through. Like you, at the end of the day, you had to continue to progress in your journey and be better. And, he's been great. And so we've gotten to know each other, and we've gotten to talk a little, and we've gotten to build a program now with the organization that he went through recovery with. And, I met with them, I guess, 3 weeks ago. It was right before the podcast came out.
Yep.
That I was there, and he called me. He was kind of upset. He was like, you didn't let me know you were coming. I was like, dude, I thought you were going to be there. Like, I thought you were like the guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're the face of this program, and you're the starting QB, and you were out. You missed the game.
Well, that's a great segue, and I'm glad you said all that. We actually, and mentioned those recovery units, like we're having, sometime this month, we'll go sit down with Living Free near our hometown. And they've done a lot with Wallace Hansville, similar concept, and a whole bunch of their guys have gotten some jobs like on the Arsenal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Heavy equipment guys,
That's
heavy
awesome.
equipment operators on the Arsenal. For the FBI,
cool.
but there some fiber. Anyway, it's really cool. But Door to Serenity is really what caught our attention. Of course, we've always been looking for a good time to bring you on, just because we knew it'd be a good conversation. But you made a post about Door to Serenity, and you're going to speak there.
Yeah. So
tell us all about that.
So yeah, man. So Ryan reached out to me, and he said, hey, look, I really like what Skills for Success did for me, and gave me the opportunity to better my life. And he said, would you be up for having a meeting with the individuals that are over Door to Serenity? And I said, sure. So I sat down with them at PJ's Coffee in Tillman's Corner for about an hour and a half, and we just talked, and they told me about kind of their mission. They're both the two ladies that run it. They are recovering as well. They're in their journey as well. And they were like, we want to be able to have a place that is, for anyone, whether you're gay, straight, bi, whatever, whether you're black, white, pink, whatever you identify as, whatever you live. We want a program for you, because there are a lot of programs out there that, aren't necessarily for everybody. And whatever your sexual orientation, religion, etc. And they were like, we wanted to be a safe, open space for everybody. And so they started Door to Serenity, and they are a sober living house, and they've got a huge living space that's off of Spring Hill in Mobile. And they were like, we do dinner every Monday, and I think it's Thursday night. It may be Monday and Wednesday. I can't remember. I know it's Monday. I think it's Monday and Thursday. But they were like, we'd love to have you come. And so I said, sure, why not? I'd love to. And we went over there, and I walked in, and immediately you could tell that these were people who were looking for a second chance, right? They knew they'd messed up at some point, right? Whether it was drugs, whether it was alcohol, whether it was, they'd even had people in there before who were addicted to sex, right? And so we start talking, and they immediately, I've done a lot of, like y'all have, a lot of, Q&As with Skills for Success, or, what can you do? What can I do? Yada, yada, yada. It was like rapid fire. The questions I had, I had questions about, I'm a felon. Can I do these programs? I'm like, yes, you can. They're like, will somebody hire me? And I told them straight up. I said, 5-10 years ago, no, nobody's going to touch you. You're a felon. And none of these, the couple individuals that did this, they weren't violent felons. They were, they got busted with drugs.
Situation.
Right. It's a situation. And I was like, you guys, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, no one would touch you with a stick. I said, but because we have such a workforce shortage, people are willing to overlook things that they used to have to get individuals who will show up. And, I told them, and I tell everybody this that comes through one of our classes that want to get jobs. If you do 3 things, you will be successful with a job. Show up to work, show up on time, and don't cause drama, right? You do those things, right? The show up on time and show up to work kind of are one. The don't cause drama and do your job. Like that, if you can do those things, I guess so technically 4. But the show up and show up on time are, I kind of lump as 1. But if you can do those things,
Yeah.
you'll be successful. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have employers come up to me, and not even employers looking to hire people, but people who are doing the incumbent worker upskilling, and they're like, man, I can't find anybody that'll just show up to work.
Yeah.
Right? I can't find anybody who will do the job. I've got this kid that wants to come and work, and he's all eager and, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, comes in, works, is amazing the first week, the first month, and then just stops coming to work or stops caring and causes drama. And, so I really harp on these individuals when they come in through our programs, like, guys, don't do that. Don't cause drama. Show up to work, do your job, just do those things and you'll be successful and you'll climb the ladder. Mm-hmm. Because, if we look across, all the workforce, right? Like the average age of our workforce is, I would easily say, in their 50s, right?
That's a great point, man. I was at, where are they? Alabama. I'm not going to say it. It happens a lot, though. But what I'm saying happens.
Are you having a stroke?
No, I just didn't want to name that. I didn't want to. No, I just didn't want to name the organization because they're great to us. But like, what happens is you go, not to groups like that, but when you go to an organization and you've got like people from the association there,
yeah,
and they're all gray haired and moving around real slow. Like they're in their 50s and 60s, and they're still working. And you always say, hey guys, how many of y'all right now have somebody that can replace you?
None.
And they're like, how many of you even have an idea of what to do to find somebody? No idea. But then you start telling them all the stuff, and they're like, oh, that'll never work.
Yeah.
You can't have an excavator operator after 2 days of training. They can't dig a trench. I'm like, well, they can.
They can, and they do.
They're not as perfect as you, but like, what are you going to do if they don't?
So, like, perfect example. I just got back from a hunting trip in West Missouri, and as I was walking back to the truck, the first night, I meet this guy and we start talking, and I'm like, "Where are you from?" Because I could obviously, right? Like he's like, "You're from the South, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yep.
What was the giveaway? But he was like, "Well, how's it go out there?" And I was like, "Oh, so this guy's from Missouri? I mean, from Minnesota or Wisconsin or somewhere like that." Yeah. He's from Wisconsin. He's from Green Bay, yeah. And.
Is he Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers?
He's
Jordan Love.
He's actually Bart Starr.
Like he's that old. Okay.
He's that old. He's that old. And so we just start talking, and I said, what did you do? He said that he was a welder for 45 years.
Gosh, in Wisconsin.
He said in Wisconsin. He said that there were 150 guys at this company that he worked for, and they all worked there. 40 to 45 years. He said most of them all left at the same time. I mean, that's, that's what, 4,000 years of generational knowledge that just is out the door, and again, same thing. He made the comment, these young kids, they don't want to learn. They don't want to show up. They want to blah, blah, blah. Right. So anybody that wants to say, oh, it's an Alabama thing, it's a Mississippi thing, it's a Florida thing. No, it's across the country that individuals and generational, that generational knowledge is leaving in just mass exodus from the workplace. And we're, I feel like in a small part, we're doing our job with Skills for Success to kind of fill that role. Obviously, like you said, a kid that comes through and does a month training and a 2-day lab is not going to dig a ditch as well as a guy who's got 40 years. But I'm also not as good of a hunter as somebody who's been hunting since they were 6 years old and they're, in their 50s, right? They're going to know tricks and things, just like I'm not as good of a golfer as Tiger Woods is, right? Tiger's been playing since he's
Houston.
4. Or Houston is the GOAT.
Like, you mean
Who wants Houston on their team? Everybody's like, nah.
no?
Nah. That's why I said he's the GOAT.
Okay, we might not keep all this podcast. That was not necessary, but you're right. Like, in that the older crowds, I think they have to realize at some point you've got to hand that knowledge off. But I saw that on the West Coast too. I was over there 2 summers ago in Oregon. Same conversation. Every operator there, it was a dirt world. It was an amazing show, but every operator there had gray hair except for one young guy who was in his late 20s, and he came up and started his own thing. But so how do we get those folks? Because you got a whole group of us our age all went to college. Mm-hmm. That was the thing then, and now it's not. But you still have a lot of kids now who don't have the natural inclination because they haven't been raised in a way, haven't had to grow up in a way to play with heavy equipment or to necessary to be a mechanic or whatever. Like it's just easier life. But then you've also got a huge population of people who have messed up. Mm-hmm. How do we fix that?
Yeah.
So I think it's through programs like Door to Serenity, right? And quote unquote, what is it that the youth say? We're going to make you famous. We're going to blow you up, right? We're going to make you famous on social media. And I think that's the way, right? We promote in our own capacity, whether it's the college, whether it's the Innovation Center, you highlight those institutions, those programs that are doing good work, like Door to Serenity, right? Like they do a great job at sober living. They have a great success rate. They're a great group of people, and I think the other problem is we've got to work as a society to get over the stigma that if you are a felon, obviously dependent, let me preface this, dependent on what the felony is, right? Because, perfect example, I met a guy a month ago. He was in prison for 32 years for like 1.5 ounces of pot. Right? Yeah. Like he was arrested back in the 70s or whatever, where you go to jail for a long time for pot, right? So again,
30 years?
Yeah, dude. He was from Mississippi. But yeah, he was I mean back in the 70s, my mom will tell stories that she would be at parties at Mississippi State and people would be doing cocaine. She didn't think anything about it. But if somebody pulled out pot, she turned around and would walk out because of the stigma, I guess, of pot. I don't know why. But anyway, I digress. What I'm saying is we as a society need to get over the stigma that, oh, they're a felon, they're a bad person. No, people make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to realize and remember is that individuals, we as human beings, make mistakes, and we can't let that 30 seconds, quote unquote, define who you are
the entire rest of their life.
Yeah, exactly.
With no opportunity.
Exactly.
So with that recovery focused partnership, some of I would say majority of that audience between the Innovation Center, Skills for Success, the community colleges like Coastal, creating that pathway to step foot on a college. What has that looked like, and how has that progressed with these? So one of the things is and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but with our heavy operators classes that we've run with the prison system,
go there.
That's in partnership with our adult ed. So we've got individuals who are that maybe don't have a high school diploma, that want to continue, they're getting out of prison for whatever reason, and they want to go and they want to further. Well, they don't know what that first step is. And so, they come in because we have partnerships with various prisons in our territory. They come in, they do adult ed. They tape test. They do, maps for aviation, maps for manufacturing, whatever. And then they come and they do these skills for success classes. And then that lets them see that, okay, hey, I can do this college thing, right? We have several individuals that, have come through and they didn't realize that they could actually get their high school diploma, right, through adult ed, right? They went to high school. They would have graduated 15, 20 years ago, but they didn't realize that was an option. So they're able to go through our adult ed program and then actually get their high school diploma from their high school.
What's they call? Yeah, because they picked up where they left off.
Pretty much, yeah.
High school diploma option.
Yes, the high school diploma option, and so you'll have kids, and I say kids, right? You'll have individuals that come in. We do it at Coastal, where our individuals that are graduating from the adult ed program, they walk in our Coastal graduation.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So if Matt goes and he gets his GED or he's getting his high school diploma, he walks in the Coastal graduation, and then we bring them back over to our adult ed facility in Bay Minette, and we take a picture, like a professional picture with them, graduation picture with them, with their family. And so it's really cool to get to see individuals. And we've had some of the individuals that have gone through, like our food and beverage, because we do a food and beverage class with our ESL students for Skills for Success. And so they'll go through that, they'll get their degree, and then they'll get their certificate. And then we've seen some of them even matriculate into the credit side, and so, and again, that looks like showing that these kids, they can do it, right? Showing that they can take a class online, that they can do the coursework, and that they can do the thing that they did the coursework on, right?
Your quote in that Door to Serenity article or Facebook post you made is something about, I forget which is where I found it, where Matt found it.
See,
a lot
on Facebook?
Probably, but
yes, it was. You
said, quote unquote, a lot of times people don't know where to start, and this is a perfect starting point.
Yeah.
And so, you're talking about all these different people, English language learners, incarcerated folks, open enrollment folks, didn't get the diploma, they've just been working.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're like Ryan Els, they're changing careers, so that's really cool. What I've seen, and a lot of our colleges do really, really well with innovative programming, but you guys seem to do, what I keep thinking about Coastal is like, you do it well, but you also find a particular niche, and then you run that like to like 100% efficiency. How do y'all do that? What makes that work?
I don't like to lose.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, I got that dog in me. No, but no.
Perfect. Yes.
But no, I don't like to lose. I don't like to look stupid. I don't like to look like I don't know what I'm doing. One of my biggest pet peeves, and this is one of the reasons I don't have a doctorate, is because when I was in my graduate program, I basically got told I didn't belong there, that I wasn't smart enough to be a professional historian, and that pushed me. Somebody to quote unquote insult my intelligence and or my drive to do something.
Yeah.
Really frustrates me. And also I have a long history of quote unquote fixing programs. When I was at Mississippi State, so on college campuses across the country, there's Jewish student organizations called Hillel. Hillel Internationals started as B'nai B'rith, offshoot of B'nai B'rith, which I'm not going to go into, but they are the college campuses. Auburn has one, but if you walk down the road, there's a Hillel house here at Alabama.
Okay.
And it's where Jewish students can go. They can do Shabbat services. They can, hang out with other Jewish kids. Mississippi State started a Hillel in 2010, and that's pretty much where it ended.
Okay.
And then I came in 2014 when I transferred in from community college, because I was a community college kid. I rebuilt the Hillel at Mississippi State, and we now, in fact, before we didn't have, when they do their Christmas in the junction or Christmas in the quad or whatever, there was no representation for Jews.
Oh, really?
We built out of PVC pipe and electrical, like running electrical line and screw in light bulbs. We made a menorah and spray painted it maroon and put it in the junction at Mississippi State in 2014. Now they have a beautiful menorah on campus, and they just did the menorah lighting at Mississippi State.
Oh, really?
But I fixed that. I built that program. When I got out of college and I was trying to find a teaching job, I got hired by Steinmart, because I'd always worked in retail when I was coming up through college. I got hired to work at Store 360 in
Specific.
Yeah, well, Steinmart's not there anymore. They closed. But worked at Steinmart in Biloxi. They had the worst credit card to sales ratio, that metric. The big thing is push the credit card, get you to sign up for the credit card,
okay.
right? And they want you to average 5 a day, 4 a day, 6 a day. And they did not. And that store was literally dead last at like 700 students, 700 stores. When I left in November, we were the number 2 store in the company for credit cards. In 7.5 months, we turned it around. And so I really pride myself on kind of getting in the driver's seat and trying to go and fix stuff. I'm the president of the Mobile Area Jewish Federation, which is the local federation for Jews in Mobile, Baldwin County. And since I've been on the board and now sitting in the president seat, I've changed the way that we do things and how active we are, and have started to get younger Jews in our community to get involved. So I really pride myself on being able to do, my dad used to say that I could sell ice to Eskimos or oil to Arabs. And I really think, I don't think I do that. I just think that when I get passionate about something or I get excited about something, then I can sell it and I can make it something that other people want to do. So drink the Kool-Aid. That's a Jim Jones reference.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, let's not. Anyway, but yeah, so that you want to know the biggest secret in the sauce is Josh doesn't like to lose. I don't like to lose. Josh is a competitor, man.
He is.
He competes, whether it's pickleball, whether it's basketball. It doesn't matter. Like the dude competes, and we kind of have that competitive atmosphere in our team. We say all the time that we probably have one of the smallest workforce teams, and we cover the largest
20%, man.
Yeah, and we punch way above our weight class.
Yeah, you do.
And I don't like to lose. I know that I'm not going to win everything. I know that I'm not going to be the most successful, but by God, my name, when you hear Joseph Metz, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, that guy shows up, right? He does his job. Yeah. And he doesn't cause drama, right?
Okay. That's why we get hired over here. We saw that in an earlier episode.
Yep.
How did you take all that to make the Clark County initiative? I'm going to call it that and let you fill in the framework.
Yeah. So that, I can't take all the credit for that. That is Stuart Lee, and Stuart Lee, I love Stuart, and he'll be like, he'll be like, Coach Ease, don't give me credit. I'm in the background, and I'm like, no, man, I'm gonna give you credit. Stuart had been working with these programs, doing the adult ed classes in the prison system for a while,
right?
And he came when I took over Skills for Success. He said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about possibility of doing with the prison system, doing with Clark County." I said, "Okay." I said, "But here's the thing, man." I said, and I broke down the framework, right? They've got to register. They've got to do the online. They've got to then do the lab. I said, how is that going to work? It's prison, right? It's not a high school. It's not a business and industry partner. Well, it is, right? Prisons are their own business.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not your typical. And he goes, look, he said, I want you to meet Dwayne, who's the sheriff, and y'all talk. And so we kind of all sat down and we talked about how we were going to run this and what we were going to do. And, basically Dwayne, even though he's the sheriff, he's also kind of the mayor of Clark County. I mean, Grove Hill has their own mayor, Thomasville has their own mayor, but because Dwayne is the sheriff, he kind of, he's the sheriff. And so he was like, man, whatever you need, we'll do.
Okay.
And I said,
awesome.
I said, okay, awesome. I said, here's what's going to happen. Here's what needs to happen. And he goes, I promise. He said, it ain't going to be the smoothest ride you've ever had. He said, but we'll figure it out. And we had bumps, right? We had problems. One of the big problems is these people, they don't have, some of them may be in prison for, 3 or 4 years, and they're coming out and they don't have driver's license, right? So we had to get creative. How do we do that? And y'all have helped with that. And basically what we do is we keep it in a small number. We keep it that kind of 5 to 8 in a class. And they come in, Stuart has them in a classroom. He teaches them and he embeds these classes into the adult ed classes. So they are an IET.
Oh, yeah.
So this is an IET for our adult ed. And so that not only checks a box for us, it checks a box for adult ed, it checks the box for the state, checks a box for the feds. Everybody, quote unquote, is getting their piece of the pie.
And the student.
And the student is getting that credential, right? And not only that, like, it's a credential that's now starting to be, I think y'all will agree, when Skills for Success started, like, we're like, this is going to be a recognized credential throughout the state. And it took a lot of time. But now we're starting to see, okay, like, business and industry are sending, especially like our municipalities, are sending their employees through here, and they're doing 2 things. One, they're making sure that their guys know how to operate this equipment, / they're getting guys who mainly might have been, a post hole digger or a flagger.
Right.
And now they've got somebody else that can run a piece of equipment in case Johnny, who's run it for 40 years, is sick or hurts himself. But also, we've got a lot of business and industry partners who have told us they're doing this for insurance. They get an insurance break because they've sent their employees through a training that now shows, like, hey, this is, like, they've been trained to know what they're supposed to do, right? It's definitely a
CYA.
CYA, dude. Yeah. It's a CYA. And hey, look, if that's what you need to do to make sure that your guys are operating safely, because I'm gonna tell you, man, we've had classes with municipalities from the north part of our territory to the south part of our territory. Big difference. But also I've seen some of these guys that come in and they're like, man, I've been running an excavator for 35 years. Let me show you what to do. And they'll get in, and Anthony's like, yeah, no, you need to get out. Like, that's
get out immediately.
Get out. Like, this is what you need. And then they'll come back and they'll be like, man, he's a young kid, but God, he knows what he's talking about.
Well, we saw that several times. Actually, in a previous episode, we had Perry Goins from the Department of Mental Health.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the standardization of they put the mental health worker course in their new hire onboarding, right? And so everybody gets the same thing.
Yeah.
But then we saw that in Motor Grader too. When we did the first pilot, there was a guy who'd been doing it for several years. It's like several thousands of hours. I think he'd been there 4 years, a couple thousand hours.
Yeah.
And then he went through the course as a pilot. And then we had a couple conversations. He did a thing, like probably a 200-yard stretch down and back. Came back, people critiqued him, and he was like, "Man, I learned more in the last 2 hours than I have in the last 3 years."
Dude, yeah.
Just from the feedback from somebody else. But then what happens, and to your point of once, even if folks are not incarcerated coming out, just the everybody knows the basis of what they are supposed to know. Period. So good.
And again, it's and that's one of the things we tell them in Clark County is whether you've gone through this coastal class, or you go to a class in Calhoun, or you go to a class in Wallace or Bishop, or pick a community college, it's going to be for the most part the same. There's going to be a little differences, right? Everybody's got a different teaching style and how they get it across, but for the most part, the core content is the same. And that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on in our program is that, yes, we're going to have the core, we're going to have our basic tenets, right? But then we are going to hold that standard even higher and make sure that every class is run the exact same way so that, again, when somebody comes through a Coastal Alabama class, they're going to be like, yeah, like we know that you went through that class, right? Like the standard is there, and we're not going to water the standard. You know, if we have people fail, we don't have people fail all the time, but we have but just because you come to this lab does not mean you're going to pass. Right. Does not mean you're going to go through. I mean, this is not a completion class, right? This is not a, everybody gets an award class. It is we hold the standard. And I've had several people I had a young lady, so sweet.
Yeah.
She was in our forklift class. Could not do it. Could not get it.
Wow.
She just didn't have the basic, like she has only been driving a car for a little time. And so, she didn't really have the motor skills. She knew the material. She could tell you like, these are the brakes, this is how this works, blah, blah, blah. But then actually getting in and doing the thing, she couldn't do, right? Same thing. We've had some individuals who have done our heavy equipment class. And they don't necessarily get the actual operational part. We've had individuals too who have gone through our CDL program, and they'll go through CDL. They'll drive well, but they can't pass the pre-trip, post-trip, right? Yep. They just cannot. It just doesn't stick. So what we do is we say, hey, come back, right? We're not throwing you out to the wolves. We're not saying you're dead. You're not going to come back. Run through this program. Go through the lab a second time. We've never had to do more than a second time.
Sure.
But we've had individuals come back and do a second time, and guess what? It's like 9-day difference, and I've even seen it too, where you'll have an operator. We had this happen in Clark County. We had an operator, young lady. She was a school bus driver. Cafeteria. She worked in the cafeteria and was a school bus driver. And there was going to be some work, I guess, done at one of the high schools or something. And so she was like, I can get a job kind of doing this as well as a heavy equipment operator. She went through first day. Anthony comes to me after the first day. He's like, dude, I don't think it's going to pass. I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm like, okay, all right. Hey, look, dude, that's why the standard's here. Mm-hmm. Comes back. He calls me. Lunchtime, he let him go for lunch, called me, and he goes, dude, I don't know what happened, but like the person from yesterday to here today at lunch, he said, it's like you flipped a switch. He said, and they could do the thing. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. But with the Clark County thing, for the most part, we send everybody to lunch, right? They do the thing, they go to lunch, and then we send them to lunch. Clark County, we don't. They're incarcerated. So we first day we pay for lunch. We buy lunch for the inmates, and then the prison brings them lunch, or the jail brings them lunch for the second day. We do it at the old airport in Clark County in Grove Hill, not Grove Hill, Grove Hill, and it's just basically a giant field, and there's a big pile of dirt and 2 porta-johns. And they go and they spend the entire day out there. And we have pop-up tent, we have chairs, we have table, we have snacks. And a lot of them also like it because they don't necessarily always get the time out in the weather. Right. But I will tell you, I mean, y'all are from the north part of the state. When it's hot, it's hot. And when it's cold, it's cold. There's not like, when we're at our Foley site, which is where we run probably, I would say 80% of our classes are at the Foley site. If it's raining, we've got a big metal warehouse that we can pull the cars, pull the machines in, and they can do their pre and post inspections.
It's a basic operation too, I bet.
Exactly. And then try being like, hey, you're going to back this thing into this because it's a long area that we have now, and we're like, you're going to back this thing up in here, and you're going to put the boom down or the bucket down, and you're going to try to do the thing. And it's always funny watching some of those guys who have never backed anything up in their life back up in one of these things, and they're like, I'm going to hit something. And I'm like, no, you got
fine.
5.5 feet on each side. You're good.
Joseph, the stories that you shared, and every time we hear the stories, it reminds us of why we exist. It's our why and why Skills for Success exist. What is the story that you have that stays with you as your why? Like if I'm having a rough day, this one comes to mind, and that's why I'm getting up for who and for what.
There are a couple, but I really think as of late it's been Ryan, because we have the ladies that are at the jail, and some of their stories and why they got into the drug game, because they didn't know any better, and then now they have this opportunity to better themselves. Like that's really cool, and I like that. But with Ryan, you always ask yourself, okay, why do I do this? How am I making somebody's life better? And a lot of times, whether it's with high school or teaching college, you're like, man, I made an impact in somebody's life, but then they leave and you never hear from them again. You don't see it. Well, with Ryan, Ryan had tried so many times to get his foot into the door with Unity. And when he goes through our program, right, it's like the stars align. A credential can only take you so far, right? We say it all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know. The fact that he had tried so many times, he meets a guy named Davis. Davis puts him in touch with me. I get him into the Skills for Success program. He takes the lab. He does really well at the lab. He and I start talking. Duplantis and he start talking. We both tell him, hey, apply for Unity. Like you've now got a certificate. Duplantis makes a phone call. They interview him. He gets called back for an interview. He does well in the interview, right? Because I can put in a word for somebody. I can make a phone call all day and say, hey,
you gotta do it.
Go. And you still got to do it. You still got to show that you know the thing. He goes in there. He does well. He gets hired. 6 months, 4 months, 3 months. He gets promoted, right? And he's on that track to continue to get promoted. And he's turned his life around. He's got a girlfriend. He's taking care of his kid. He's involved in their lives. He's now a mentor for individuals at Doors to Serenity, right? Like he's paying it forward. He's taking the opportunity that he's been given, and he's trying to put it forward. In Judaism, we have a thing that's called tikkun olam, to repair the world. And I can see that in Ryan, right? Like he is putting back into the world what he got, and he's trying to make not only his world better, but the individuals around him better. And so as of late, Ryan has probably been the when I need like a reason, when I'm beating my head against the wall going, why am I dealing with this? Why am I doing this? Ryan is kind of the reason. I look back at, his social media posts and go, man, we made a difference.
You did. Him in the studio that day, it was a phenomenal conversation with him. And I just listened to it yesterday while working at the desk. The confidence that he has now that he may not have had before. So well done. Well done, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's a very good why. 5 years from now, Joseph, you're going to be probably still at Coastal, but doing something much bigger.
We'll see.
But we don't know. What are you going to be toasting to, though? No matter what you're doing.
I'm toasting. My wife and I are expecting a little boy.
Oh no!
We're expecting a little boy in about 3 weeks. I lost my dad a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
For a long time, my wife and I thought we're not having kids. We're not going to have another kid. We have a little girl who is amazing.
Yeah.
But we're done. And so I'm toasting to Benton Emmanuel Metz. He's named after individuals that are both important to my wife and I, who were named Benton, and then Emmanuel was my dad's name, was my dad's middle name and my dad's Hebrew name. And so I'm toasting to that, and I'm toasting to all of us as a state, as a region, as a country, realizing that we have far more in common than we do that separates us, and that it's time for us to put all that behind us, and let's guys, we're Americans. Let's be American. So that's my toast, man.
Love that. Love that a lot. I've just been so impressed when Josh told me the first time he was going to bring you over from Alamap to this coordinator position. I was like, yes, thank you. And I think he was one of the first around the system to hire somebody to do just skills for success, which I thought was, I didn't know how it would work out, but I knew that watching you, I knew it would be a good idea, and seeing his approach, and now y'all have just killed it.
Thank you.
So good. How do the people in the world who are in your area find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Joseph Metz, or you can send me an email at joseph.metz@coastalalabama.edu, and just shoot me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in Skills for Success. What do you have in my area? And we're doing this year a lot better job. We started it last year of trying to actually schedule out classes and have a schedule, and so we're really doing that this year. My instructor and I sat down last Thursday and we planned out, I believe January through the 1st of June of classes that we're going to run. And if they make, they make. And if they don't, again, we've got a standard that we want to hold to, right? We've got the new MOUs, obviously, that we've got to work with.
Yep.
But again, I don't want to run classes. The days of running a class with 4 guys, 5 guys is done. I didn't like doing that in previous years.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not doing it now. I want full classes because I want, one, the most bang for my buck, but also, 2, I want to train individuals that want to be there. And if you're willing to put in the time and do the online coursework and come to the lab, then you'll be successful, right? Show up on time, do your job, don't call it drama. Those are the 3 things to live by.
Yep. I don't know where I put that. There it is, right there.
I got it down too.
Are any of those in your schedule? Carpentry and electrical?
Yeah, actually, they in the I think I was talking to my other instructor, Jim, to try to do one end of January, beginning of February. We've got a couple of people who've reached out, and actually, again, the prison system, the jail wants to do electrical. They're like, we'd love to do carpentry. I was like, nah, fool me once. Not bringing nails or hammers anywhere near inmates. Not happening.
Well, they can bust out. Well, the career centers want to do a local regional thing.
Yeah.
They want to do a carpentry electrical academy.
Yeah. In
your area.
Yeah.
I met with them yesterday, and so they want to do a similar thing up in the north. So
yeah.
Cool. Final thoughts. That's a brave shirt to be wearing. No, Houston. Same with you, Matt. No, I'm just kidding. What? LaTrenda gave this to me.
No, it's adorable.
A good boss.
It's adorable.
Adorable.
What is on your shirt, Matt? Are those mermaids? What are they?
Looks like some dark blue dots with some light blue
seashells.
design.
They're seashells. Final thoughts.
Final professional thoughts.
Final professional thoughts are just if you take nothing else away from this.
Yep.
Those 3 things: show up to work, show up / on time, do your job, don't cause drama, because you will be successful. Every job I've ever had, I've done those 3 things, and I think I've been halfway decent.
Not bad.
I just noticed that Matt is wearing a Toon Squad wristband.
Listen, it's like an episode of Nickelodeon over there every day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. The world he lives in.
Well, it's his world.
It's his world. We're just living in
Joseph.
These are all something like Thompson's work, family church, and then the boys. Toon Squad, Space Jam.
The boys.
Up.
Yeah, Jackie has 3 boys and a little girl in her house. His wife.
Yeah,
I'm the 3rd boy.
Yeah, no, I know. My wife, my wife has the entire pregnancy been like, for the love of God, I hope that this little boy is me and not you, because my little girl is 100% a little girl version of me.
I hope that he is just like you.
I hope he is too, just for her.
Yeah, your wife will be better off for it. Matt, final thoughts?
Again, appreciative of Joseph traveling his 3 hours one way. He'll be back. Yeah. He won't be back by dark, but we talked about a lot of different courses today, and if you're interested in any of the courses mentioned or the other things that are available through Skills for Success at Coastal, at any of the other 23 community colleges. Trainforalabama.com is our website. Any course that's available statewide in your area will be listed there. You can find links to the YouTube promos. Any information you need, you can find it at the website. Again, trainforalabama.com.
Yeah. And you know what? This is probably a good time to say Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
This will fall around the Christmas
This is
time.
going to be one of our last episodes. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I don't know what you
Happy
say.
Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Chag Sameach.
This is going to conclude another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all your social media platforms. Have a great afternoon.